finest known, specializing in retirement portfolios through precious metals commodity investments. Information about Finest Known's gold investment program and other precious metal investments is available at 1-866-697-GOLD.
Hello, and welcome to Wealth and Wisdom with the Market Guys. I'm James DeGiorgia.
And I'm Jeff Garbaz.
On today's show, we're going to learn how a key ingredient in red wine could help you fight age-related diseases and perhaps live to over 100 years of age. Jeff, who do we have today for this subject?
Well, James, today our guest is Dr. William S. Gruss, a respected and world-known cardiologist and internist who specializes in preventive care, cardiac, for patients who suffer from chronic heart problems and diabetes. He is also the author of a new book, The Cardiologist's Guide, Anti-Aging, Antioxidants, and Resveratrol. Dr. Gruss is board certified in internal medicine and has been in private practice in Boca Raton, Florida since 1986. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think this is a fascinating subject, and from what I understand, this book is really controversial in that it's your hypothesis that this key ingredient in red wine, resveratrol, can really help prevent things like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, obesity, and help you live longer.
Well, yes, James. This is a very fascinating subject that I started learning about actually 3 years ago. I'm a traditional internal medicine doctor and cardiologist, and I'm used to seeing patients with hypertension, diabetes, heart disease. This is what I've been doing for over 20 years. I practice traditional medicine in the Boca Raton area, in West Boca Raton, and every day in my office I'm seeing pharmaceutical reps that are bringing in their samples of prescription medications. I'm seeing patients with hypertension and diabetes I had mentioned previously, and I'm prescribing medications for the patients that treat their diseases, but many times they cannot cure the diseases. And there's very little out there as far as prevention other than don't smoke, watch your diet, exercise. So when news started coming out about ingredients in red wine that could have preventative effects, I wanted to do more research into this, and I became very excited about this.
And the first study that you're talking about that made the news about a year ago was the Harvard study, where they actually gave mice resveratrol, and then over a period of time, gave them large quantities, and then when they examined the mice post-mortem, they may have been heavy, but they were completely healthy.
This is true. Dr. Sinclair from Harvard was, for some time now, was looking for a product, and he actually had gone through many different molecules or different substances trying to find something that actually may have anti-aging effects, and he found that resveratrol had many great properties. Actually, even going back to 1991, there was a news program by CBS News about the French paradox. Why did the people in the southwest part of France drink? Why were they eating all these rich foods? They didn't exercise. Of course, you see people in Europe, especially in certain areas, even in France, they were smoking a lot, yet 40% less amount of heart disease compared to the American population. It was, at the time, everybody was told, watch your cholesterol, watch what you eat, don't eat fat, yet heart disease was still very prevalent. And then when this news came out that the people in France were doing all the wrong things, yet having 40% less heart disease, it created quite an uproar. Well, maybe there's something in the red wine. Resveratrol is one of those ingredients, and it's thought to be one of the key ingredients that could have preventative effects. Also, other ingredients of red wine too have very beneficial effects. So these super antioxidants seem to have tremendous effects. Well, Dr. Sinclair, getting back to the original subject, took resveratrol in high doses and fed it to mice. This was the first large study on mammals where he gave mice this compound, and he divided the mice into 3 groups. One had the regular mice food, or mice chow as you want to call it. The second group had a high-fat diet without the resveratrol, and the third group actually had a high-fat diet with the resveratrol. And as time went on, they found that the group that had the high-fat diet with the resveratrol, the mice did get fat, just like the group that had the high-fat diet without the resveratrol, but these mice actually ended up living 24% longer. When they actually did the autopsies, they found that the organs inside the mice were very well preserved, didn't have all the fatty infiltration, the livers were well preserved, their blood vessels were in good shape, they didn't have the problems with diabetes like the mice did that did not have the resveratrol. So this was very exciting news. This was the first type of study on mammals. And so the question is, will it work on humans? We don't know yet, but that's certainly, that's something that I think needs to be studied.
Well, you have anecdotal evidence, of course, with the southern France and that population.
Yes, absolutely. And it's more than just the red wine, and because we know that alcohol has some beneficial effects with regards to raising the good cholesterol, but you look at different populations where they've even studied different countries where, yes, they may drink, of course, alcohol, but maybe not so much red wine. They drink beer. And so in those populations, even in France, maybe the northern part of France, there's less wine, more beer, like other parts of Europe, and that didn't seem to have the protective effect like the red wine did. So you can't necessarily say it's the alcohol in the red wine.
Have you put this to practice? Are you starting to use it yourself?
Oh yes, I definitely take a supplement that contains these antioxidants. I find, actually, when I even check my own cholesterol level of interest, my HDL levels are quite high. So at least I'm blessed in the sense that my HDL levels are always reasonably good, but I find that even they're higher. Whether this actually has a true pharmacological effect, it's unknown. That would be nice to study that, but I find that certainly it does not have any negative effects. And in patients that that have taken products, had taken a similar product when they've been tested, I've not seen any negative effects. Pretty much you're trying to block the oxidation of the cholesterol, not just the cholesterol level itself. Because it's when the bad cholesterol gets oxidized at the level at the blood vessel level, then that's where you start to have the problem. So by blocking that oxidation, perhaps we're doing something very beneficial. A lot of people who have heart attacks have normal cholesterol levels. So how do you explain that? Maybe also even oxidizing the good cholesterol. The good cholesterol cannot do its beneficial effects. So by blocking the oxidation there and allowing the good cholesterol to do what it has to do, it would be very beneficial as well.